So last week I posted a poll asking the community which Godzilla is the most iconic version to you. So a week later I now have the results, and it may or may not surprise you. I don't know. I'm not you, I can't tell. It surprised me a little bit though. Now before we get to the countdown of the top 5 most iconic Godzillas, let me take a minute to thank all the subscribers that shared the poll among their communities. I expected, maybe 100 votes or so. We ended up at 245. While that's not a huge total, it far exceeded what I thought we would get, and it's a decent sample size. I especially want to thank Token Dave for making his video talking about the poll. It's appreciated, man. If you haven't subscribed to him yet, be sure to check him out. I'll drop the link in the description. He does a Godzilla's Garage series of videos where he talks all about our favorite giant movie monster. So how this works is I asked which version of Godzilla is the default mental image for you. I wanted to gauge and see what fans of the character immediately think of when they hear the name Godzilla. In my mind, the Godzilla fan base is older, it's a character that's been around since 1954. What I found out though is that's not necessarily true. So let's count down the top 5 most iconic Godzillas. This data came straight from the fans of the series. After the countdown, I'll show you the exact breakdown of where each version stood. All but 2 versions got at least 1 vote, which shows that there is a lot of variation in what people think of when they think of Godzilla. Now, let's get to the list. Shin Godzilla. That's right, the newest of the Toho series grabbed the number 5 spot with 17 votes. It's weird to think that a Godzilla so radically different is what some fans think of as their definitive version of Big G. 1995's Godzilla vs. Destroyer grabbed the number 4 spot with 23 votes. While this is personally one of my favorite films in the series, the Burning Godzilla design has never been one of the top versions for me. To other people though, it seems like the on the verge of meltdown Godzilla is their go-to image. Just edging out the final Heisei Godzilla is the 1989 version from Godzilla vs. Biollante, which garnered 24 votes. Overall, the Heisei era got the most votes total, which seems to indicate that it's the top era among Godzilla fans. With 30 votes each, the original 1954 Godzilla and Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah from '91 tied for the second place spot. 2 drastically different versions that each are considered the definitive version of the characters for 12% of the community. This is where I was surprised, as I figured the original would come out on top, as it's the one that started it all. Versus King Ghidorah didn't really surprise me to see it ranked so high since it's in that strong Heisei era. Now, take a guess at number 1. I'll wait a second. Who do you think it is? If you guessed 2014's legendary Godzilla, you'd be correct. With 35 votes, the American version of the classic Japanese monster is the default version for 14% of the community. What this means is that the Godzilla community actually skews much younger than I expected. For everyone that was around during the Showa era or those of us that got on board during Heisei, Godzilla is going just as strong with the youths of today. It's amazing to think that a rubber-suited giant monster from 1954 would have such a large impact on kids 60 years later. Now, the point of running this poll was to conclude that to each fan, there can be a completely different version of Godzilla that is iconic to them. As you can see by the breakdown, even the '98 American Godzilla got some votes, so to some people that is their version of Godzilla. We can argue and complain all we want that so-and-so isn't a real fan because they don't like my version of the character, when, as it turns out, there's no real definitive runaway winner. To different segments of the community, it's different versions, and that's okay. That just speaks to the legacy of the character and the ability to appeal to a large fan base in different ways over many different years. It keeps things interesting. It would really suck if everyone always agreed on things. And it's good to know that even despite the differing opinions, we're all fans of the greatest giant movie monster ever, Godzilla. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like. I release new Godzilla videos often, as well as do live video game streams and more. Hit that subscribe button if you can dig it. Oh, and we all know Cookie Monster Godzilla is the real Godzilla.